brow. "Unhappy, Mr. Brent?" he queried. "But I understood from you a moment ago it was a love match." "In the beginning it was purely a question of love, Mr. Headland," responded the manager gravely. "But as you know, when poverty comes in at the door, love sometimes flies out the window, and from all accounts the late Miss Patterson never ceases to regret the day she became Mrs. George Barrington. George has been hanging about here this last week or two, and I noticed him trying to renew acquaintance with old Simmons only a day or two ago in the bar of the Rose and Anchor. He was also seen prowling round the bank on Tuesday night. So now you know why I was loath to set the ball rolling. Old man Patterson would lift the sky to get the chance to have that young waster imprisoned, to say nothing of defaming my personal character at the same time. Sooner than that I must endeavour to raise sufficient money by private means to replace the notes. But the death of old Simmons is of course another matter. His murderer must and shall be brought to justice while I have a penny piece in my pocket." His voice broke suddenly into a harsh sob, and for a moment his hands covered his face. Then he shook himself free of his emotion. "We will all do our best on that score, Mr. Brent," said Mr. Narkom, after a somewhat lengthy silence. "It is a most unfortunate tragedy indeed, almost a dual one might say, but I think you can safely trust yourself in our hands, eh, Headland?" Cleek bowed his head, while Mr. Brent smiled appreciation of the superintendent's kindly sympathy. "I know I can," he said warmly. "Believe me, Mr. Narkom, and you too, Mr. Headland, I am perfectly content to leave myself with you. But I have my suspicions, and strong ones they are too, and I would not mind laying a bet that Patterson has engineered the whole scheme and is quietly laughing up his sleeve at me." "That's a bold assertion, Mr. Brent," put in Cleek quietly. "But justified by facts, Mr. Headland. He has twice tried to bribe Simmons away from me, and last year offered Calcott, my head clerk, a sum of £5,000 to let him have the list of our clients." "Oh ho!" said Cleek, in two different tones. "One of that sort, is he? Not content with a fortune won by profiteering, he must try and ruin others, and having failed to get hold of your list of clients, he tries the bogus theft game, and gambles on that. Well, young Barrington may be only a coincidence after all, Mr. Brent. I shouldn't worry too much about him if I were you. Suppose you tell Mr. Narkom and myself the details, right from the beginning, please. When was the murder discovered, and who discovered it?" Mr. Naylor Brent leaned back in his chair and sighed heavily as he polished his gold glasses. "For an affair of such tragic importance, Mr. Headland," he said, "it is singularly lacking in details. There is really nothing more to tell you than that at 6 o'clock, when I myself retired from the bank to my private rooms overhead, I left poor Simmons on guard over the safe. At 9 o'clock I was fetched down by the inspector on the beat, who had left young Wilson with the body. After that..." Cleek lifted a silencing hand. "One moment," he said. "Who is young Wilson, Mr. Brent? And why should he, instead of the inspector, have been left alone with the body?" "Wilson is one of the cashiers, Mr. Headland. A nice lad, but of no particular education. It seems he found the bank's outer door unlatched, and called upon the constable on the beat. As luck would have it, the inspector happened along, and down they went into the vaults together. But as to why the inspector left young Wilson with the body, instead of sending him up for me, well, frankly, I had never given the thing a thought until now." "I see. Funny thing this chap Wilson should have made straight for the vaults, though. Did he expect a murder or robbery beforehand? Was he acquainted with the fact that the notes were there, Mr. Brent?" "No, he knew nothing whatever about them. No one did. That is, no one but the head clerk, Mr. Calcott, myself, and old Simmons. In bank matters, you know, the less said about such things the better, and..." Mr. Narkom nodded. Very wise indeed," he said approvingly. "One can't be too careful in money matters, and if I may say so, bank pay being none too high, the temptation must sometimes be rather great. I've a couple of nephews in the bank myself..." Cleek's eyes suddenly silenced him as though there had been a spoken word. "This Wilson, Mr. Brent," Cleek asked quietly, "is he a young man?" "Oh, quite young. Not more than 4 or 25, I should say. Came from London with an excellent reference, and so far has given every satisfaction. Universal favourite with the firm, and also with old Simmons himself. I believe the two used to sometimes lunch together, and were firm friends. It seems almost a coincidence that the old man should have died in the boy's arms. He made no statement, I suppose, before he died, to give an idea of the assassin? But of course you wouldn't know that, as you weren't there." "As it happens, I do, Mr. Headland. Young Wilson, who is frightfully upset, in fact the shock of the thing has completely shattered his nerves, never very strong at the best of times, says that the old man just writhed and muttered something about a rope. Then he fell back dead." "A rope?" said Cleek in surprise. "Was he tied or bound then?" "That's just it. There was no sign of anything whatever to do with a rope about him. It was possibly a death delusion, or something of the sort. Perhaps the poor old chap was semi-conscious." "Undoubtedly. And now just one more question, Mr. Brent, before I tire your patience out. We policemen, you know, are terrible nuisances. What time was it when young Wilson discovered the door of the bank unlatched?" "About 9:30. I had just noticed my clock striking the half hour when I was disturbed by the inspector." "And wasn't it a bit unusual for a clerk to come back to the bank at that hour? Unless he was working overtime?" Mr. Naylor Brent's fine head went back with a gesture which conveyed to Cleek the knowledge that he was not in a habit of working any of his employees beyond the given hours. "He was doing nothing of the sort, Mr. Headland," he responded a trifle brusquely. "Our firm is particularly keen about the question of working hours. Wilson tells me he came back for his watch, which he left behind him, and the door was conveniently unlatched and ready, so he simply fetched in the inspector, and took him straight down into the vaults. Didn't get his watch, I suppose?" Mr. Naylor Brent jumped suddenly to his feet, all his self-possession gone for the moment. "Gad! I never thought of that. Hang it! Man, you're making a bigger puzzle of it than ever. You're not insinuating that that boy murdered old Simmons, are you? I can't believe that." "I'm not insinuating anything," responded Cleek blandly, "but I have to look at things from every angle there is. When you got downstairs with the inspector, Mr. Brent, did you happen to notice the safe, or not?" "Yes, I did. Indeed, I fear that was my first thought. It was natural, with 200,000 Bank of England notes to be responsible for, and at first I thought everything was all right. Then young Wilson told me that he himself had closed the safe door. What are you smiling at, Mr. Headland? It's no laughing matter, I assure you." The queer little one-sided smile, so indicative of the man, travelled for a moment up Cleek's cheek and was gone again in a twinkling. "Nothing," he responded briefly. "Just a passing thought. Then you mean to say young Wilson closed the safe. Did he know the notes had vanished? But of course you said he knew nothing of them. But if they were there when he looked in..." His voice trailed off into silence, and he let the rest of the sentence go by default. Mr. Brent's face flushed crimson with excitement. "Why, at that rate," he ejaculated, "the money wasn't stolen until young Wilson sent the inspector up for me. And we let him walk quietly out. You were right, Mr. Headland. If I had only done my duty and told Inspector Corcoran at once..." "Steady, man, steady. I don't say it is so," put in Cleek with a quiet little smile. "I'm only trying to find light." "And making it a dashed sight blacker still, begging your pardon," returned Mr. Brent briskly. "That's as may be, but the devil isn't always as black as he's painted," responded Cleek. "I'd like to see this Wilson, Mr. Brent, unless he is so ill he hasn't been able to attend the office." "Oh, he's back at work to day, and I'll have him here in a twinkling." And almost in a twinkling he arrived, a young, slim, pallid youngster, rather given to over-brightness in his choice of ties, and somewhat better dressed than is the lot of most bank clerks. Cleek noted the pearl pin, the well-cut suit he wore, and for a moment his